Hey everybody, I'm Paul, and this is a rant. I don't know if anybody's going to watch it because I'm annoyed and maybe it'll suck ass, and not in a good way, but here goes. I just read on CNN.com, needless plug for a site I don't check out very often, that the Senate voted to end debate on their health care bill, and it passed 60-40 along party lines, with all the Democrats and the two independents voting for it, and of course everyone else, which would be just Republicans, voted against it. And I'm kind of pissed off because this bill sucks balls. It hasn't been passed yet, but odds are it's going to be passed. The House bill's not as bad, but I don't care. I'm not talking about that right now. The Senate bill sucks fucking balls. And the reason I say that is essentially one of the biggest parts of the Senate healthcare bill is that basically everybody has to get health insurance. Not, hey, you have to get on Medicare, you have to get on Medicare. And at one point they were going to expand Medicare. That was an option, expand Medicare optionally for people from 55 to like 65. But no, that got killed. That might have been a good idea. No. Scratch my nose. That was worth it. But no, that's not what they did. No, fuck that. No, that's not what they're going to do. Is they're going to expand Medicaid, a little bit. But other than that, if you're an American citizen, you are going to basically be forced to buy health insurance from a private company. And that's what really fucking pisses me off, is that, this whole proposal, this thing that the Democrats ran on, about reforming healthcare and making the prices go down, is, I don't believe it's going to work. It's essentially now, if you're an American and you don't buy a private plan, assuming the Senate bill passes and it passes the House and the President signs it, again, that's much more likely because it's very unlikely the House bill would get past the Senate, is that if you don't get health insurance from a private company, assuming you're not poor enough to be on Medicaid or old enough to be on Medicare, then you're going to have to pay a penalty of either $750 a year, or I think it's up to 2.5% of your income yearly. I mean, if they're going to do that to you anyway, why not just take the step and finally go to universal health care? I mean, we already have universal health care in the system. If you're poor enough to qualify for Medicaid, or if you're old enough to qualify for Medicare, you're on socialized medicine in America. You're on a socialized healthcare system. And you don't hear the old people say, hey, I don't want to be on Medicare anymore. No, quite the opposite. You don't hear any of them getting rid of it or saying, I don't want to have it. Oh, but it's new, at least with the House bill, there was a public option so that, if you didn't want to, you weren't stuck giving your money to these stupid health insurance companies, because that's essentially why we pay so damn much in this country. We pay twice the amount. We pay about double for healthcare per person in America as opposed to any other industrialized nation, realistically. And they all have some form of universal healthcare where you can get seen, where we don't here. We don't, here we're paying twice as much and we don't get the best service in the world, not even close. I mean, I'd have to look it up, but the infant mortality rate is rather low for industrialized countries when it comes to America. It's really pretty shitty, but we're paying more than like anybody else. And so, we're already paying more. It's because of these damn health insurance companies that are making ridiculous profits and deny people left and right so that, hospitals get screwed. They're not afraid to screw you. That's how you get promoted in a lot of these health insurance companies, is if you are someone who likes to or is willing to deny claims, you'll get promoted because you're going to make the money. That's what they're about. And now if the Senate bill becomes law, it passes the Senate and becomes law, then they're going to make more money. Sure, they might make less per person, but now that it's federally mandated that you have to have health insurance or you're going to pay a tax penalty, they're going to have a lot more people paying them, and there's a lot more people they can screw. I mean, if we're going to do this, why not take the step and finally go to an optional universal health care system for who wants in? Most every study says that the cost of healthcare in America would go down if we had a universal option. But we don't. And basically, the health insurance companies are basically exempt from antitrust laws, so they can do whatever the hell they want, and they do, and they screw the American consumer. And they screw you when you need it most. When you're going into the hospital because something's bad, and then they're going to screw you then and deny it and make you fight it. There are some places where it's routine for them to deny you on the first thing, whether they should cover you or not, because they know not everybody is going to fight for it. So this Senate bill, I think, is just a windfall for the insurance companies, forcing the American people to have to get private insurance. And, and that's not free market. If you're someone who believes in free market, it's, you have a right to say no. And I don't think you should ever be forced to buy private anything from the federal government. Obviously, on the state level, you might have to do that with car insurance, but that's a pain in the ass other story. But I just think it's stupid. I think it's stupid that the federal government, especially the Democrats and independents that ran on, fixing the healthcare system, it just shows how bought they are, well, the entire Congress, by the health insurance lobbies, that the only bill that looks like will probably become law is the one that makes sure that more people have to get private health insurance and that there's going to be more money flowing into their crooked hands. Rather than one that has a public option, so if you don't like, having to deal with these private crooks, that you could go to a public option. And obviously, if you didn't like the public option, you could not go to it. So I'm saying this bill is stupid. I'm saying the senators who did it are bought and sold by the health insurance industry, that this timid crap is all they can get through. And maybe it's time to get rid of the Senate. The Senate is always a pain in the ass when it comes to American history. Look it up. Look it up with the Civil War too. Slavery might have been gone in this country earlier if it wasn't for the goddamn Senate. The Senate's a pain in the ass. So that's my thing in the end. The Senate bill sucks, and it's time to get rid of the Senate. We don't need two branches. I mean, we're not a confederation of states anymore. I mean, I'm sure a little state like Rhode Island might bitch that, they don't have quite the power they do now, but tough shit, man. It should be based on populace and what the people want. And I guess if you do that, you can get rid of the Electoral College too. I'm sure some people wouldn't complain about that. So either way, those are my closing thoughts. I don't want to have to buy private health insurance. And, small companies are going to find that too. Health insurance is a ridiculously overpriced thing in this country. And in this bill, if you're a small company, there's a certain threshold where if you're under it, you're exempt, which works out. But if you're not exempt in your small company, you're going to have to start paying these private insurance companies too, or pay, penalties to the federal government. If you're going to make us pay all these penalties and taxes, why not just, expand Medicaid or Medicare to whoever the hell wants it? If I'm paying these damn things anyway, at least shouldn't I or anyone that want it have the option for it? At least every American citizen? We can start with that first and worry about the borders next, which they're not going to take care of that either. I guarantee it. Well, either way, that's where I end. The Senate bill sucks, and it's time to dissolve the Senate. Thank you. Good night or good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are.